Thank you to our administration, staff, fellow colleagues, co-workers, and the main event for this evening, the esteemed class of 2015. You all allowing me the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you truly humbles me. And I cannot thank you enough. In the spirit of this, I want to try something today. If the class of 2015 could please stand up, turn around, face your family, friends, and the faculty, and please give them a round of applause for all of their hard work. They don't face that way the entire time. You can sit now. The meaning of life. A good friend of my family named Ahmed gave me a compact book titled The Meaning of Life when I graduated from high school. Perhaps you know the book. A book which is why I have to write this speech currently lives in my mother's office at work. Written in it are phrases, observations, grand statements, large, powerful claims about the meaning of our lives, our purposes, essences, existences, distilled down into bite-sized nuggets in pleasing neon green lettering. The book could fit in your purse. However, above these declarations, these profound and powerful observations about the world, are black and white photographs of cheerful, adorable animals performing various adorable things amongst a smattering of adorable backgrounds. Listen to your heart and use your head. A small chimpanzee encourages while flashing a toothy grin and pointing its comically large finger at its own hairy head. You'll never be wrong, proclaims a seemingly wise kitten, while leaning on a fence in a pose that more suits the Dos Equis man. You will inspire someone else to go after their dreams, hollers a polar bear as it belly flops into frigid water, or as I'm made to understand it, the very dream that it has been inspired to go after. But perhaps my favorite of the bunch, even if you make a big mistake, if you are wrong about almost everything, you'll still enjoy an amazing, fun-filled life adventure. Preaches some sort of breed of poodle, wearing a tiki hat behind the wheel of a convertible. I don't know what the kind of mistake the poodle made, but to the author's credit, it does look content. The hat was probably the mistake, right? Needless to say, recent high school graduate James Flanigan was perplexed. Why had Ahmed, a complex, knowledgeable individual, a war veteran, an ER doctor, and a father of 3 children who described his booming, authoritative voice as the voice of God, why had he given me, on my most important day of my educational career, a book of idioms that would be more readily found pasted and stacked on the back of a minivan? The very saccharine idioms that, in my opinion, made the world that I was going into silly and sentimental. Young, handsome, charismatic Flanigan was serious and real. Despite Ahmed's yearnings, the younger version of me did not hope the meaning of life was embedded in a picture book. Surely, life has to be more complicated than this, or at least that is something I hope to suggest to you this evening. Of course, it wasn't just the pictures that were off-putting. No, it was also that a book purporting to be full of answers to the biggest questions, ones that have haunted human beings for thousands of years, seem to be full of advice having little or no relevance to my own life. According to the meaning of life, and a few eager penguins, you can't cross a chasm in 2 small leaps. I had never once tried to cross a chasm, let alone leap across it, say double jumping it like some sort of video game character. An equally unhelpful polar bear chimes in. People will look at you strangely when you tell them what you want to achieve. A puzzling piece of advice for an 18-year-old headed to a small liberal arts school with ambitions of becoming an English teacher. People hadn't exactly looked at me strangely when I said I wanted to teach. And And my parents certainly didn't talk me down from my equally strange ambitions of getting a job after college and moving out of their home. You see, as anyone who's taken a class with me at St. Stephen's can tell you, my opposition to cliché runs deep, which, upon writing and now saying this aloud, I realize is another cliché, but it's the main trope of the speech and we've got to keep going. So, my opposition to cliché runs deep, and the irony of our dear family friend Ahmed handing me a book chock full of sweetly coded words, the very words that I would eventually grow to war against, is hopefully not lost. Of course, Ahmed could have chosen from a host of equally cloying sayings that seem to rear their heads around graduation time. Phrases remarking about the places you will go, phrases encouraging you to work hard and to work smart, phrases declaring that if you can imagine it, you can dream it. Or that journeys of 1,000 miles begin with a single step, or that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, or that you should hitch your wagon to a star, or something about trees and shade and planting. You see where I'm going with this, it probably has something to do with the meaning of life. Some of these very sayings, metaphors, and cliches will be packed neatly into the very cards you may receive tomorrow upon graduating. And yet we keep doing this. All of the brilliant, accomplished, loving members of your support group, family, friends, teachers, coaches, we all, on these major days of your life, retreat back to words that we've heard, words that we've studied, words that we've been told on similar days of similar grandeur. So why does this keep happening? It all boils down to a simple, undeniable truth. We have absolutely no idea what to tell you. A notion that I am going to continuously prove throughout the remainder of my time up here with even more words. See, I believe these sayings to be at the heart of them, reflecting one common and core belief, the grandest of grand statements. They are serious words said by serious people, giving off the impression of serious advice, packaged up by others to give to others that they seriously love. The words written in Ahmed's gift to me are serious. Heck, the reason the book is so popular, as popular as it is the fact that these serious statements juxtapose totally unserious images. But ultimately, these serious statements expose and reflect exactly where words tragically fall short. Greg Warner, NPR's East African correspondent, during an episode of the much-beloved Radiolab podcast, spoke about this very word, serious. He noted in Radiolab's episode on translation that in English, the word serious tends to be one dealing with emotions. We think of serious people being those dressed for work, wearing solemn, colorless outfits to match their stern, thoughtful moods. In Ethiopia, the word serious has little to do with one's mood, and rather to do with one's actions. It implies the want and desire to do. Are you talking to me, or are you serious? Are you doing or going to do something? I think this linguistic dichotomy represents the very split that will be forced upon most of you throughout the next years of your life. You will have the opportunity to appear serious in doing things like attending all of your classes, completing assignments on time, joining clubs, playing varsity sports. To do these things is to, and forgive the groan-worthy invoking of John Paul Sartre here, is to play as college student. Of course, it doesn't mean that these things are bad or even wrong. You should definitely go to class, like all of them. I don't care if the professor says it's optional, and I definitely don't care if you learned it all in this bulletin calc class. You probably did, it doesn't matter. Go to class. However, the difference between going to class, because it's what college students do, and capital G, going, hopefully recalls the previously mentioned dichotomy of seriousness. Put differently, think about this senior class's recent tussle with the end-of-the-year disease known colloquially as senioritis, or, for our purposes, the most major manifestation of the disease, an acute addiction to Netflix. While many of you seniors have explored the extensive, nay, vast, offerings on everyone's favorite time waster, ponder with me, if you will, your propensity to watch the same movie, same episode, same series over and over again until you're red in the eyeballs and well past when you should be sleeping. Now, some may describe this kind of mania as the very definition of insanity, at least by Einstein's standards. However, and I'd like to believe, your urge to voraciously seriously gobble up the same television show just as readily as the last time is the very beginning of this seriousness I hope you take on in your lives. Just, about other stuff, not just TV. We rewatch and re-experience media, either alone or with others, because of those times where our memories and our words fail us, where talking about it is no longer sufficient, and you need to completely and totally take on that show again. Sure, you can explain an episode of The Office to a friend and the various antics of Michael Scott, but does that really do it justice? Does that genuinely replace the experience? To put it tritely, you could do the same issue through a different lens as a classic English teacher dilemma. Our generations, yes, students, we are the same generation. I'm not old, I'm young, sprightly, and hip. So our generation's obsession with the word like. A verbal tic leading most of us to constantly overuse the word. We tell stories about how we were like going to class and how we were talking to a friend and told them about the sweet baccalaureate speech they heard on Thursday. Intentional or not, the word creates a simile out of our lives, unconsciously comparing it to something held in common and relating, again, back to what we know. The word drives a wedge between our experience and our phrases. To watch a movie, to go to class, really to do anything seriously, is to consciously and subconsciously affirm that the experience differs from any prior iteration of it that you have had. To go, to do, confronts that experience for the millionth time and boldly claims it different than the others. To be like nothing else and beyond something about which you could be told or read. Carrying the metaphor and brutally abstract language over, the time to play at being a student is behind you, and the time to begin acknowledging your contributions as meaningful, important, and your own is upon you. Your education has so far at this fine institution been incredibly multifaceted. You've serviced the community, you've led clubs, participated in athletics, stayed up too late studying, panicked through AP classes, conquered final exams, and forged meaningful, indelible friendships. All of these things you've done in earnest, class of 2015. So, for our purposes, let's compress your entire high school careers and put it into your own bright green meaning of life. I'm sure you have just as many cute pictures of animals to go along with the things you've learned. And I've been a bit underfunny when it comes to that dear book, but I honestly believe the meaning of life serves, well, a meaningful purpose. So consider your own book. Reflect back on all of the things you have been taught, you have been told, and you have been asked to consider. Now that these have been put down in neon green or some other fluorescent lettering, and festooned with equally delightful, adorable pictures of cats, dogs, ferrets, possum, or a bunny named Fluffy, whatever, take these books with you. Take these books with you, but instead of using them to confirm what you've learned, press against them and press past them. They will be a charming reminder of the past and a place to let you know where to keep digging. It is my great hope for all of you that when you leave this school to forge your next legacy, you continue to do it not necessarily as serious people, stuffed to the brim with knowledge of equations, literary terms, historical dates, and physical laws, but as those willing to carry out serious action. To find and fully realize when you need to stop talking about things and start acting on them. This is when your education begins, your experience is paramount, and luckily, when language stops being enough, where you, class of 2015, must begin acting out of book. Here is where the words stop. Thank you.